everybody, I am Jared Ross of GeneaVlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. On today's video, I will be watching Chinese Wife Finds Out She's Not Chinese DNA Test from Lao Y86. But before we begin, here's a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, The Genealogy Show. Whether you're an avid family history researcher or just getting started, tune in to the Genealogy Show 2021 virtual event from the 25th to the 26th of June. The Genealogy Show has created an immersive platform for you to enjoy over 48 hours straight of talks from industry leaders, all of which will be available for 30 days in the on-demand section. There's also a wide variety of globally recognized exhibitors, experts to help you in your research, and so much more. Pick up your tickets today and be sure to use code GeneaVlogger to get a discount on your tickets. You can get more information at www.thegenealogyshowlive.com or go down into the details for the links and more information. Lao Y86 is a channel that I am familiar with. It's a guy who is from America. I'm pretty sure he's from America. He lived in China for a long time. He has a lot of videos about China, how it's changed his views on different things. Then there was all this crazy stuff that happened and he had to escape out of China with his friends and his family. And I probably got into his stuff because I would watch a lot of language videos, kind of like Xiaoma and Lao Shu, rest in peace. From watching those kind of language videos and stuff, then I would kind of get some of the Lao Y stuff and start watching that. I don't know a whole lot about his wife. I do know that she is from China. I don't remember what province or what area of China she's from. Based on the title of the video, I'm guessing that she may find out that she has a large percentage of non-Chinese DNA. Otherwise, I think it would be odd to say that if she still has a lot of Chinese and then just has some Japanese or Korean or something in there, which would make sense knowing the history of those populations. But I'm also guessing that she is using one of the, I want to say American-based, but English country-based DNA tests. So Family Tree DNA, 23andMe, MyHeritage, Ancestry. One of those four. We've seen some videos where people have taken DNA tests where they're based out of China and Japan. There was WeGene, and then there was 23 and then I always forget the name of the one that was in Singaporean's tribe. But yeah, so there's a lot of ones for people who are from Asia. So if she takes that and gets a whole lot that she's not expecting, I think that'll be even more interesting, just because a lot of these more Western companies, they don't really have as much in their database for Asian. Now, before we do jump into the video, please be sure to give this a like. That really does help me out. Also, be sure to subscribe and click that bell for notifications on future videos. But now, with all of that fun stuff said, let's go ahead and watch this video.
Vivi, what if I told you that you were not Han Chinese? What? Hey, listeners, it's Loudy6 here with another video. I'm sorry to take you away from your important phone call, but I had to show the results of what we just spit into.
It better be good.
Well, listen, we got these tubes from 23andMe, and you see all these, freaking
23andMe
videos, and I ended up breaking down. I was like, Vivi, can we just do this? And you're like, fine. You're just gonna find out I'm Chinese and what you are. You're German, right? So we sent these off and they came back a little while later. Just got the results in. And the results
shocked me.
So wait, hold on. I'm going to go back a bit because he just said that she's German. So is it one of her parents is Chinese, the other is German?
Fine. You're just going to find out I'm Chinese and what you are. You're German, right?
Okay.
So we sent these off and they came back a little while later. Just got the results in. And the results
shocked me.
I wanted to know, what do you think you are? You're from China, everyone knows that. What do you think you are?
Mostly Han Chinese. People actually say I look like Southeast Asian, so probably have a little bit of that.
Wow. I see most Chinese people I meet are just absolutely shocked if they have anything other than Chinese, because the Communist Party of China made sure that Chinese people believe that they're one people with some minority sprinkled around. And a lot of people are confused about this, but they're 90-something% of people in China are classified as Han by the government, and they kind of make up most of the population. And then you have all kinds of random minorities. You have people from the Uyghurs from Xinjiang, which are Turkish people.
Yeah.
You have people in Mongolia that are Mongolians, right, in Inner Mongolia. But then you have real strange ones down south, which came from Southeast Asia and down there that kind of bred into the Han Chinese. They conquered all over the areas. Remember when we were in Laos, everyone thought you were local?
Yeah, and then also what's it called, Vietnamese to me. It's just like, what the heck, speak English. I don't speak your language.
It's always been a running joke that I call you Vietnamese.
I know, and some of my friends, they actually live in Vietnam. They said like, holy crap, you look identical.
I'm going to open this up, okay? What do you think about this? 97.2%
Okay.
Chinese.
Good.
All right, 97.2%, 2.4% Southeast Asian, 0.3% broadly Asian, 0.1% broadly South Asian. I mean, that makes me surprised if the Chinese wife finds out she's not Chinese. That almost, I mean, that's kind of, that's hovering on the clickbait line, I think, because it's like, you know, she's obviously Chinese. It's not like she had no Chinese. She does have a little bit more, 2.4% Southeast Asian. So assuming that this breakdown is correct and that Southeast Asian is coming from one recent ancestor, not multiple distant ancestors, 2.4%, that's like, I think it's like a third great grandparent, could be a second great grandparent because recombination is so random and people can get a lot smaller amounts from more recent ancestors, and sometimes you can get larger amounts from more distant ancestors for more distant ancestries. So that Southeast Asian, it could be fourth, fifth great grandparent, and she just happened to get a larger amount than you would expect for that distance, or could be second great grandparent and she got a lot less. The idea, at least genealogically, being when you kind of identify that, like, okay, well, it could be anywhere from a second to fourth great grandparent, we would then want to try to build out the entire tree to identify all of the second great grandparents. If we can do that, we can't figure out where's that Southeast Asian coming from, you go to the next generation, try to get all of them. And so that's what we would actually use this for genealogically. So like for us genealogy wise, one of the reasons why, like, personally, I'm not, dad mixture is just kind of more of a fun thing. And for genealogy work, it's a guide and not really much beyond that.
I am Chinese.
Well, what if I told you it's just not that simple? It says East Asian and Native American, you are 99.8%. A lot of people don't know this, but Native Americans are genetically related to Asians. But it says 97.2% Chinese from mainland China, 2.4% from Southeast Asia, specifically Vietnam. So I've been right this whole time, at least 2% right.
A lot of people look like Vietnamese. Wow.
And 0.3% broadly East Asian, and then 0.1% broadly South Asian. Now, this is the problem, and this is where I'm going to, and do not click off because you didn't find out yet. I found some shocking stuff here, because 23andMe it's interesting, it's cool, it gives you like this McDonald's kind of wrapper of who you are and all the details, but what it does is it only uses the data that it itself has, right? Thankfully, these companies actually let you download your raw data.
Okay.
And 23andMe, this company is specifically known to be very ambiguous on Asians' backgrounds.
Okay, I'm getting the feeling he uploaded the raw DNA. This is great. This is the first video I can think of, really, that's talked about uploading raw DNA from one website to another, which is something you can do. If you DNA test at one company, there are multiple companies that allow uploads. Some are free, some have pay walls for the tools, some have a mixture of certain free tools, others behind paywalls. But this is an option, and especially for people looking for genetic matches, it's best to be in as many databases as possible to get as many matches as possible, because you never know who's tested in a single database, and that's it. But I'm liking this. Let's go.
Thankfully, there's tons of independent research projects that will take your data, and I had a lot of people help me break this down.
Okay, you used a lot of third-party tools.
Genealogy and DNA, which is really cool. So we can have a very informed opinion about this. And I'm going to show you some interesting stuff. So I took your raw data and I broke it down. And then I found DNA matches of different races of people around the world. And the match that I got from your genetics, were from the Tujia people. Do you know what the Tujia are?
Yeah, I do.
They're from where you're from, actually, right?
Yeah. It's more Hakka-ish and... Wait a second. Am I Tuja people?
Well, let's explain this. Where did your dad say that you guys come from?
Because our name is supposed to from the Zhongyuan in the middle area and then come down as a kingdom because they fall apart and lost the war or something. And then they come down around this region like Guangdong and Guangxi area. And then they, mix and settle.
So by his definition, you would mostly be Han Chinese because that's where your name comes from.
Yeah.
I did some research. Most people with your name were actually named that because when the people came down from that kingdom, they would name entire minority villages that they couldn't communicate that name to kind of spread their name.
No.
And I'm sorry.
No.
Why did I do all this research about you? You don't even care. You just want to believe in falsities. Your mom's dad is from
Grandpa
Chaoshan.
is from Chaoshan.
Which is a kind of a Minnan area. If you don't know what Minnan is, it's the Taiwanese type people. So that mixture should mean that, in fact, within 100 years, you are, of course, Chinese. You're Han Chinese, according to the government. But according to this, your DNA shares a lot more with a Tujia person here, okay? 50% with a Tujia person.
I'm not quite sure what details he's looking at. Because this looks like it's something from GEDmatch. But I'm not quite sure which one.
Your DNA also shares 58.6% with a Vietnamese
population
person.
sharing.
And wait a second. 89.4% with a Miao person.
All right, let's go back for a second. This is interesting. I don't think I've seen it, because one of the things that I will say about admixtures, like these percentages and stuff like that, trying to figure out who's what. There's so many different options out there. It almost becomes a pick your own ethnicity type of thing in how you read it. I see these numbers over here, and it also makes me wonder, are those numbers just like in order of number 1 to 10 or something like that? Or is it order from, I see in the estimated distance, or is it does it have to do with the chromosomes? I don't know. I guess let's keep watching.
89.4% with a Miao person.
Okay, I've gone back and I still can't really tell what this is saying exactly. So I guess these are people that she is matching, and this is what they identify themselves as. So we have one person where their primary population is Tujia, and then I'm not quite sure what's going on here, so it's kind of hard to read it, because I don't know what these numbers come from. All right, let's find the spot where we were at before. Okay.
Wait a second. 89.4% with a Miao person. Miao is the Hmong people. If you guys have seen, what's that, Gran Torino, the Hmong people that moved there, that's a minority in China and Vietnam. And they actually came over to America after the war.
Wait, so I am minority?
Listen to me. So we don't know this for sure. This is just the first step of how I broke it down.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing is here, you share a lot of DNA with these people, but this is just one person. So we broke it down even further.
That's one person?
This is each of these is one person. Okay.
Oh,
okay, yeah. So, but that doesn't mean that's what she's matching. So, if she's matching one of these people, then she's not going to have both of what they have. She's just going to be related through one of these, So, more than likely, it could be that or not more than likely, but it could be that she's related through the Vietnamese side.
Okay. So that's how.
If I'm understanding it correctly,
that person. We can't do that. We can't just pick one person, right? So actually, we found a third-party one that went even better and traced some delicious facts here. Okay, we actually found the best source here, which helped break down what does Southern Han even mean, right? And it turns out that you are 100% East Asian. We know this, right? You are in fact 20% Southeast Asian, and this is really weird. You are 11% Cambodian and Thai.
Or whoever this is predicting. I've seen this model. I'm not sure where it's from though, but it looks super, super familiar. But yeah, it's still just an estimation.
Which is is pretty incredible. You are 4.8% Taiwanese and not Chinese Taiwanese. I'm talking about the Polynesian-looking Aboriginals that live in the mountains.
But it's not indicating either way. I think he's reading a little too in depth to this. I hate to say it, but he's kind of doing what a lot of people do, unfortunately, where they're coming up with these conclusions using kind of oversimplified data in a sense. So like assuming like, oh yeah, well, this site says this much Taiwanese, so it must mean these exact Taiwanese people. They might not be able to decipher between different cultural groups in Taiwan. I don't know the history of Taiwan and, I don't know those histories that well, but from, I'm sure there are all sorts of different cultural communities that may seem very different than other ones in the same areas, but are actually very similar genetically. He's saying things a little too conclusively. And I think I've said this in a few other videos where people kind of say the same things, where they like get this information. He's going a bit more in depth than others do, but he's going into all these third-party sites where the veracity of it is much less than some of the bigger websites technically, because with the third-party sites, you're often dealing with something created by just one or two or maybe a few people, and it's not always upgraded, and there can be a lot of different issues.
Nice people, by the way. I got along with them when I was in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And then 3.6% Southeast Asian, which turned out to be Vietnamese. Break it down even further. Your Central Chinese does not necessarily mean that you are 80% Han. Central Chinese includes Han, Miao, Naxixi, Tujia. All that stuff's in there. There is a very high possibility that you're almost not Han at all. That you are, in fact, a minority from Guangdong province, which would make a whole lot of sense. That's where they're from. And your family didn't move a whole lot.
You know what Taiwanese has surprised me the most? Like, I think the only answer I can make...
The thing is, this is 4.8%. I don't know what this website is. I'm sure there are people who are familiar with it. I know it looks super familiar. If anyone's familiar with this, comment down below and tell me which site it is. But, for this website, I don't know where they're getting their percentages from. I don't know how they're coming up with that, because each website uses a different algorithm. They use different studies. And if this is a third-party site where presumably they'd probably be using a lot fewer studies. There's probably a lot less that goes into how they figure things out compared to these bigger companies, which are always trying to manipulate stuff and figure it out. So that means that the margin of error on these is probably higher. And so 4.8%, I know a lot of people would say, well, that's not a trace result, but I would consider that a trace result when, especially I don't really know this company, and the way that they're breaking things down, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. This could be a third-party site where it's actually, hundreds of people have worked on it and it's a big thing, and I personally don't know, but I'm just a bit skeptical of it, and just especially of how he's presenting it to his wife in this, like, oh, this means this for sure. No other possibilities.
The answer I can make, it's like, probably it's because back then when my grandpa was born in there, and probably my ancestor was just like, because it's right next to Taiwan.
Right. Definitely, and they definitely interbred.
Maybe they.
But that's quite a big chunk. That's quite a big chunk.
This actually upsets me.
Why?
You equally to telling me like I'm not my parents' kids.
Anyway, that's you. What? How do you feel about all this before we move on to how you're gonna die?
Messed up.
Why is it messed up?
Why? I'm Han. No, I'm Han.
Why do you want to be Han so bad? What's so...
I feel like they're just jumping to conclusions too much with it. This is exactly what a lot of genealogists really hope people don't do, is get these results and then kind of just jump to these really specific conclusions and take this as like, oh yes, I hate to quote the CBC thing, but science has spoken. Like, no, that's not the case. These admixture tests have a lot with going on, how they're determining it, and there's a lot of guessing going on with it. And so these the admixture part of the DNA test, just they aren't that type of thing that can tell you precisely without any, error at all that this is how it is. It just kind of, it gives you an estimation. It's a scientific estimation.
So great about Han.
I just
He's a
wanna
cool
be
Star Wars
pure.
character.
Han Solo.
You want to be pure. This is getting dangerous. I didn't know you were going to be this racist.
I'm not racist because like for your whole life you're like everybody tell you you're Chinese, you're
I understand. I totally get
like,
it.
and then all of a sudden like you are Southeast Asian.
For sure.
You're
Imagine.
minority. You are those typical when you travel you saw those people dancing.
And who knows what my test is, because actually, Winston Serpenzadeh, my partner on ADV China, we did ours together. I don't know about mine yet, but when he...
Oh, yeah. I actually had a few people request the ADV China video, so I'll probably end up doing that eventually.
Thanks so much, lovers, and I'll catch you
On the next one.
Okay, well, that was an okay video. I think it's great that he went a bit more in depth, looked into other stuff. He talked about downloading raw DNA and then uploading it elsewhere. Kind of disappointed with the whole, like, he started to show third-party tools, didn't even show on screen where it was coming from, kind of gave very, cut screenshots of what he was looking at, which he might have been doing partially for privacy reasons. But I just hated how he was just jumping to such finite conclusions about things. The way I would put it based on what we were seeing, it's probably likely she has some sort of Southeast Asian. Obviously, being that this was from 2018, what are the updated results? Because they may have updated and give something completely else. Another thing being that she is Chinese, or at least mostly Chinese, which the DNA test definitely proves. So, that title was a little clickbaity. But, it would be very interesting if she ended up taking one of the Asian-based DNA tests. So, Weijin, 23 Ma Fong, whatever that other one was. And I think there are others out there too, because those are going to give a more in-depth. So they kept talking about Han Chinese. Well, that could actually show, are they Han Chinese? Are they, something else? Honestly, I mean, it really wasn't that surprising of results. I really was confused about a lot of the stuff he was showing from those third-party tools. They could have just looked at their genetic matches on there too. That would have been more interesting, in my opinion, than looking at that sheet, which didn't really seem to explain what was going on. But it wasn't the worst DNA video I've seen. I mean, he had a general semblance, but I think he was a little too confident in the conclusions he was coming to about that based on, what we were seeing. Well, thank you so much for checking out this video. I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You can also click right about here if you'd like to subscribe. It is completely free to do so. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at GeneaVlogger. I'm the GeneaVlogger. See you in my next video.